Hello there, welcome to Prequel, Sequel, Requel, the show where we pick a film or a franchise and give it a prequel, a sequel, and a requel with a panel of comedians and movie lovers themselves. Tonight's film is Uncle Buck, the John Candy classic from 1989, directed by John Hughes. Absolute amazing film. I'm a massive Candy fan. If you've seen this show before, you'll know because I bang on about him all the time. So let's crack on this evening. First of all, let's get our panel in. I can't do this on my own, it'd be crap. So, first of all, what can we say about our first panelist? This lady, she's here every time we do this. She's our guest wrangler, if you like, comedian, singer, dancer, pottery maker. She does it all. It's Hannah Warman.
Yay! You've stuck with that thing of saying I'm a pottery maker, so I've got to start making bowls.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just trying to give you another skill, I think. I don't know why. You've got so many. Why would I give you some more? I don't know.
I need to do a course so I can actually live up to the intro.
Yes, okay. We should all do that. Are you all right, though? Everything all right?
I'm all right.
Good,
yeah.
Good.
How are you?
I'm all right as well, yeah. Not too
Still
bad.
In a coffin?
Pardon?
You're still in your coffin.
Yeah, it's a lovely coffin. Yeah, this decor's lovely. I just thought it gives it a bit of, it's supposed to be a cinema curtain. It looks nothing like one. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Let's keep going. Should we bring our next panelist out? I think we should.
Yes.
Good. Okay, what can we say about this man? He's a world-class improviser with the Discount Comedy Checkout, a stand-up comedian, and he does a bit of woodworking, which is true. I'm not just making it up. It's Eddie French.
Woo!
Yeah, order me some more wood. Cheers. Oh, sorry, you caught me in the middle of my other job. Yes.
Yeah.
Nice to see you both. How you doing?
Yeah, you too. Good. Have you made anything with wood lately?
Let me see. Apart from that, the problem is that all the nearest things are on my desk, and I can't show you. Oh, I'll show you my. Let me see. There's a guitar cabinet there. I made that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So there's the speaker, which I didn't make, and then the rest of it, which is made out of floorboards from my parents' attic.
Cool. Very good.
Yep.
You got a bit of a Swiss Family Robinson vibe going on. Don't know.
Oak cabinet, speaker cabinet. So yeah. So
cool.
So now your parents not have any floorboards?
Oh, the roof came off, and figured they wouldn't miss the floorboards either. I told them it rotted. They treated me very badly when I was young, so I've started stealing from them.
Lovely. Right then, let's bring in our final panelist this evening. A bit of a special guest for us this evening. What can we say about this man? This guy does it all. Comedian, broadcaster, writer. He's a brilliant guy. Let's bring him out. It's Phil Ellis.
Woo!
Hello.
Welcome, Phil. Are you all right?
I'm excellent, thank you. I realise I've got the sparsest background. If I go,
you've got kind of a cupboard
combi boiler. So.
It's all right. It just shows you're a man of the people, I guess, doesn't it? If you've got something like that, yeah. There you go. Thanks for joining us, Phil. And you picked the film for tonight as well, a classic, Uncle Buck.
Yes.
Are you a big fan of John Candy?
Love John Candy.
Brilliant.
Sad day when he passed.
It was indeed, yes. Sad day. And this film gets me every time as well. The end of the film where he waves and it freeze frames and you're like, oh. Anyway.
Every Candy film ends with a freeze frame.
Yeah, of him. Yeah. Oh, I'm sad now.
The last frame of every John Candy film almost looks like they're going, well, this will be the one for the in memoriam at the Oscars that year. It's always a really iconic pose that he's in.
Don't.
No, I know, but I'm not trying to make. It's just.
I promised myself I won't cry this show as well. I'll do every other one. Right. Okay. So, welcome to the show, everybody who's watching. Thanks for joining us. If you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, wherever you're coming from, thank you very much. So, what this show basically is, our lovely panelists here, they're going to pitch a prequel, a sequel, and a requel to the film Uncle Buck. After each pitch is heard, the other panelists get to ask a question to put them on the spot, maybe about casting, directing, film score, whatever they want, and then we'll vote after each round for the winner between ourselves. You get one vote each, can't vote for your own unless you really push it, you want to. So what we're going to do first of all, I like to start the show by reading the back of the DVD box back from when it came out of this film Uncle Buck, just in case anybody's watching who haven't seen it in a while. So here we go, let's do this. John Candy stars in this John Hughes comedy as an idle, good-natured bachelor who's left in charge of his nephew and nieces during a family crisis. Unaccustomed to suburban life, fun-loving Uncle Buck soon charms his younger relatives Miles and Maisie with his hefty cooking and his new way of doing the laundry. But his carefree style doesn't impress everyone, including Tia, his rebellious teenage niece, and Shanice, his impatient girlfriend. Uncle Buck is the last person you think of to watch the kids, but with a little luck and a lot of love, he manages to surprise everyone in this heartwarming family comedy. I mean, bloody hell, it's a classic. Love it. Right then, I think we're not going to waste any time. Let's get straight on to the prequels. Here we go. So, Hannah, you're going to be first up for the prequels. You're going to give us your minute pitch. You ready for this?
Yes.
Away you go.
Uncle Buck is 20 years old and is a late bloomer, so he's the size of a 10-year-old boy. The only job he's good at is being a jockey in horse races. He makes really good money as a jockey and goes out with a beautiful female jockey who's the love of his life. He doesn't drink or smoke, and he doesn't even gamble on the horses because he thinks it's a waste of money, and he's so blissfully happy. One morning, though, he wakes up after a huge growth spurt, and he looks like a fully grown John Candy. He's way too heavy to be a jockey now, so he loses his job. Plus, his jockey girlfriend dumps him as she's not into tall men. He feels like his life's ruined, so he starts to drink and smoke and gamble on horse races, reminiscing about how he once rode those beautiful creatures. He swears from this day he'll never have kids because their size reminds him of his wonderful former life as a small person. Yeah.
Wow. Okie doke. Right then, so Phil and Eddie, you can ask Hannah a question on her pitch there. Put her on the spot if there's any flaws.
Who'd play young John Candy?
It's difficult because there's no one to replace John Candy. I'm trying to think who would be.
Except for Daniel Radcliffe.
James Corden.
No!
No!
Corden gets a bashing on this so much.
Well, he has earned it.
Yeah, he has, yeah.
I think maybe I'm going to do a CGI because I want the person to be small at the beginning and then to grow into John Candy, like how we see Uncle Buck. So maybe I'm going to make it all CGI'd. So it's going to be like a young John Candy and then an old John Candy. And then there'll just be a voiceover person who's really good at doing an impression of John Candy. That's my decision.
All right.
Oh, Chris, how's your candy?
No, can't do him.
Can't do him.
No, I'm not even going to attempt it. It's too sacred.
I see. It's not because of your skills. It's because you consider it blasphemy.
Yeah, blasphemy. Yeah, in the Church of Candy, you don't go there.
You're
never attempt.
Not allowed to draw a picture of him either, are you?
No.
No.
What if I gave you an audition to be in the prequel, Chris? You would turn it down to be the John Candy in that.
I don't know why it's all gone to me, but yeah, I'd have a go. I'd turn up for audition. I'd do the self-tape.
It was the impression thing that I was wondering about because you do impressions of a lot of people, but I've never heard you do a John Candy, and it only just occurred to me. That's why.
No, I won't touch it. Sorry.
He's one that you can't really do an impression of.
Yeah.
Because he was just such a big force of like. It's just other than putting on loads of weight. I don't really know how you do it.
Yeah. He's got that laugh as well, hasn't he? That like iconic laugh that you can't.
And it's always rubbish when someone does an impression of someone who's famous in a film rather than act. Yeah. I asked to audition for Frankie Howard in a serious drama. And I thought, no. And they just went, it's really, you should do it. I went, but the only Frankie Howard can do is, you can't do that when he's talking about cancer, can you?
No.
You found a shadow.
Oh,
6 months? No, don't. No, 6 months left to live. Oh, no. Yeah, not all right, is it?
It's not.
What made you go for jockey?
I just thought it's something because he liked horse racing, and I wanted it to be like that was the seed of him getting into gambling, but that it actually was him reminiscing about his life when he did have it all sorted, and then he kind of goes a bit wrong. And it's like, he feels like he's still in that world, so he like gambles and stuff, but actually he's never as happy as when he was a small person.
So it's like toxic nostalgia.
Wow.
Yeah.
All
Plus,
right.
I quite like the idea of a small John Candy.
Yeah.
Like in Captain America when they make Chris Evans all skinny and weedy before he has the serum, and then he's all buff. I'd like to know: are we going to see anything about the relationship with his brother in this? Because obviously he and Bob are sort of semi-estranged in the film, hence the reticence. Well, it's mainly to do with Bob's wife, but So do we see a Bob?
Yeah, I think Bob's going to be in it, and they're really close, and they're both just as kind of wanting to have a sorted life as each other. But then once John Candy has his growth spurt and loses everything, he just goes on a spiral, and the brother just doesn't get him anymore, because they used to be sort of get on, and they knew that they wanted families and to be successful, and then John Candy's kind of like, oh, life's just all bullshit now. And that's when they started to become estranged.
Cool. Okay. Interesting. All right. Right. Let's move on then to the next pitch. Very good. Eddie, it's your go, please, for your prequel.
Cool. My prequel's called Brother, Can You Spare a Buck? And so it starts off with we meet Bob and Cindy Russell. They're on the up and up. They are both doing incredibly well. They're young. They're freshly married. Bob's been promoted. And Cindy gets to move up in the social circles, just like she's always wanted to. Bob's brother, Buck, he sees an opportunity here now that Bob's quite flush these days. So he asks him for a loan, a sort of sizable loan, in order so that he can get himself, set up as well as Bob. So we see him go from sort of racetracks to the bookies to like tip sellers, making bets that fail, and we also see him investing in sort of schemes and plans that fail as well. And this ultimately leads to him unable to repay the loan, which Bob and Cindy can afford, but that's when Cindy announces, well, I'm pregnant now. I don't want this loser knocking around because we need all this money for this family that we're starting. But some of the bookies and inventors are going to be some of John Candy's greatest co-stars. So for sort of mad inventors, I'm going to have Steve Martin, Harold Ramis, and Rick Moranis. They're going to be three sort of different sort of people with crazy ideas. And then there's going to be sort of bookie tip selling kind of criminally types. Richard Pryor, Martin Short, and Dan Aykroyd will appear as those ones.
Wow.
Good cast.
Thank you.
Are we talking young versions of these guys?
Yeah, I mean, I'm using the sort of the fantasy aspect of this game in order to say sort of around that time, 1980. What was this? 1980. This was 1989, but I was thinking sort of if we plant this around, earlier than that, sort of, then that would be. So yeah.
So you'd get John Candy to play John Candy.
Yeah, he sort of he looks loosely the same age for a lot of his career.
So you could have made this in 1990, maybe then. Well,
yeah, it was made in 1990, and everyone would have been sort of younged up a little bit. I mean, they don't have to be, but yeah, all of these people. Yeah, this was sort of to be made 1990, 1991, that kind of thing. So everyone's still around, and everyone's sort of. I get the feeling that to be in the prequel to Uncle Buck, most of these people will be there as a favour to John Candy.
Yeah. Well, which film of John Candy's would he have to drop in order to make your film?
Oh gosh, I've never thought of that. Let me see. I've got his Wikipedia up here. So,
there's one called Once Upon a Crime. I don't know when he made that. Have you seen that? It's not great.
Yeah.
It might be 90s, 90 something.
Well, in that case, yeah, that's
maybe Harry Crumb.
Oh, I like Harry Crumb. Do you not like Harry Crumb?
There's a few dated impressions in there now.
Sure, cut that. I know one bit that could be cut out.
Yeah, maybe could just take the day off when they film that scene.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm going to say he's going to drop out of career opportunities. He's definitely not dropping out of Nothing But Trouble. He's staying in that. Yeah, in fact, in 1990, he had Home Alone, which was a bit part. Rescuers Down Under, he must have recorded that years before, and Masters of Menace, where he plays the character of beer truck driver. So it can't be.
So it could fit in.
I saw Olivier used to be a truck driver, and it was phenomenal.
It's one of those great parts we all want to play, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Right. Okay. Any more questions for Eddie then? Hannah, have you got a question?
Yeah, I'm just thinking in Uncle Buck, the kids are a big part of it. How cute and funny they are. Are there going to be any children in your film, in your prequel?
This is going to be. I think there's not, but I think every time someone there's going to be a lot of sort of passing mentions, like I think Richard Pryor would play the sort of bookie who ends up feeling sort of a bit bad for him and said, "Look, man, when are you just going to, maybe settle down, think about, settling down with someone, having kids maybe?" And every time that's sort of put to him, he's going to be like, "Kids, nah, not me. They'd only hold me back." And he'd be very dismissive of it, because I think ultimately that's really what he does want, but he's too frightened. And so he persists in this sort of Arrested Development thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
The layers on mine are just really, they're all there.
Very deep.
They're all there once someone asks me about them. But,
done your homework. Good. Okay. Any more questions before we move on?
It seems wildly shallow.
Is it going to be comedic, or is it going to be a dark, sort of slightly more serious in tone?
No, I think there'll be. I think it'll probably. Ideally, it would have the same balance as Uncle Buck, because that is broadly very funny, and then there are some bits which are sort of. I mean, there are some bits regarding that lad Bug and stuff where it's just like really quite upsetting. Of not just the way that he's obviously put into the boot of a car and essentially kidnapped by a mad guy with a drill, but also the fact that he's made out to be something of a date rapist. So so it's like it's horrible all round, but then most of the time he's like, "Oh, look, he's making a big pancake." So it's the balance
being cute.
A balance that only the 80s could ever strike between sex crimes and revenge and amusing oversized food stuff and sort of precocious children.
All right, cool, lovely stuff. Phil, it's your turn, please, for your prequel.
Well, I do feel underprepared. I haven't actually. I was just going to talk about things in it rather than actually weave the tales that these two previously have.
That's all right. Do it however you want. Some people just come on and do a one-liner, and then that's it, and then the riff.
All right, Brother Buck. Next. No, I'm joking.
Well, he's a monk for a while.
Yeah. I thought I'd go darker, so we'll probably get like I'm looking at like 70s Scorsese directing, and I think it'd be Uncle Buck, because when he's introduced, the family, the brother and his brother and sister-in-law absolutely detest the man, don't they? Really, they don't want him. Yeah. So I say we go back to just when the eldest daughter's being conceived, and Uncle Buck's like he's just a really violent man, really bad drunk, like not funny, like really aggressive, and he falls over and and knocks over his pregnant wife, so he has to leave, and he steals. He's into heroin. He manages to kick heroin before Uncle Buck, which is puts the weight on. But I'd have him very gaunt in the prequel. I mean, like we're talking like Christian Bale in The Machinist levels of distress.
So he goes from Begbie to John Candy.
Yeah, I'd have Christian Bale play young John Candy very, very intensely, and he's stealing. He hurts animals. There's a hit and run. That's why Uncle Buck has to leave. He kills the neighbour, and actually reverses over them in his getaway, which was the death blow. And then he just goes around like Thailand for a few years, prostitutes, and then manages to gets involved with the gangs, earns enough money to fly back. And that's when he really goes to shit. It ends that we don't know if he's dead or not. ends with him, his hand twitching as a wedding ring rolls out, and it's his brother's wedding ring he stole when he took his hand.
Wow.
Because there's a bit where he goes, "I promise I'll do better," and then when he walks away, he's got the
fucking hell.
Wow.
Yeah, and his national insurance number. That's important in America. I don't know. If you nick my national insurance number, it means nothing. We used to have it on a card.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I love the fact that you're still long listed to look after the kids for a weekend.
Right.
But
I mean,
I don't have a trailer done with that really classic 80s comedy like. I'm walking on.
Buck Russell is a guy.
Yeah, covered in blood, dancing over a corpse. Walking on sunshine. Brother Buck.
Love it.
Cool. Okay, right then. So, Hannah and Eddie ask some questions. Let's do this.
So Christian Bale is playing young Uncle Buck.
Yeah.
Brother Buck. And you want there to be some CGI to make him really skinny because he's a heroin addict.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Christian Bale, you wouldn't need it with him. Just give him 2 weeks' notice, he'd be down to.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, wouldn't need
he'd be a waif in seconds.
I'm just wondering. So it sounds like it's very much like Christian Bale is the star and is holding up this whole film, and everything else is minor. Are there any other cast that we should hear about?
Yes.
Oh, thank goodness for that.
I'd get Idris Elba in it because I like him.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's going to
play
do.
the brother.
He could play his brother.
Yeah.
His sister-in-law, played by Shania Twain of to go to. And I'd have Steve Buscemi. He'd be in it somewhere. He'd be like
I like him.
Drug dealer.
Yeah. Good.
He'd be good in that, I think.
Yeah,
and a child actor. I'd have a couple of child actors in there. Who would I have? Who's that one who did Tracy Beaker? She was good.
Yeah, her, but she's an adult now.
Yeah.
Not in my eyes. Think small.
She managed it once. She can do it again.
Yeah.
Tim Curry.
Tim Curry. As he is now. Okay. Who's Tim Curry playing? Or don't you know? You just want him in it.
He's just in it.
Yeah, he's still funny. He's still funny now. I think it'd be good to give him an acting role where he's still got that glint in his eye.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Eddie, have you got a question?
Obviously, Buck spends a great deal of time singing along to the radio in Uncle Buck. So, what would he be singing in this one? What
Pennies from Heaven.
Pennies from Heaven. Nice.
Only
or
that.
Just have tubular bells on. As he cuts himself.
Yeah, that'll do as well.
All right, that's good. Okay. Wow.
Miming the tubular bells by hitting the pots and pans over the kitchen island. Like he's dancing with the spoons and shit. Yeah.
As they're all falling on the floor, like in the film, he's just knocking everything over. Yeah. So there's your comedy still with it.
That's a good scene. He could catch his reflection in one of the pans and be like, "What have I become?"
Yeah.
The highly polished like brass on the copper. Yeah.
Shit. Okay. Right then. Okay.
Blood coming out of his nose and stuff. Yeah.
Right. So that's all the prequels we've heard. It's time to vote. I'll try and give you a quick recap of what you've just heard, just to refresh your memories. Right. Okay. So Hannah's prequel was John Candy's in his 20s. He's a bit of a late bloomer. He's a jockey. He gets involved with a female jockey girlfriend, the loving life. He don't drink, no smoking, nothing like that. But then he goes through a growth spurt, turns into the John Candy we know and love. She dumps him basically because he starts to drink, smoke, and gamble. He don't want any kids, and he resents everything in the movie about jockeys and everything. That's why he's a gambler in Uncle Buck, because of his former days as a jockey. Okay. Eddie's was called Brother, Can You Spare a Buck? Bob and Cindy are doing really well. Buck asks for a loan to get set up, basically, but he starts making bets and bad investments. Everything's failing. He can't repay the loan. Cindy can't stand him. She's pregnant, so she says, "Get rid of Buck. We don't want him here." And then you've got a massive cast then of all the people that Buck runs into. Can you give us them names again? Steve Martin.
Steve Martin, Harold Ramis, and Rick Moranis as inventors he invests in, and Richard Pryor, Martin Short, and Dan Aykroyd as sort of more sleazy, sort of bookie, tip selling kind of guys.
Yep, cool. Okay. Phil's was Brother Buck, darker than Uncle Buck. 70s Scorsese's going to direct it. Brother and sister-in-law hate him for good reason. He's a bad drunk, aggressive, does heroin, steals, kills animals, hits and runs. Kills his neighbour by running over him in the car. Goes to Thailand, gets involved with the gangs there, flies back, and it just gets worse. The last scene in the film, his hand opens and a wedding ring rolls out, and you realise it's his brother's wedding ring because he even stole that, the son of a bitch. Right, so let's get voting. You get one vote each. You can vote for your own if you're feeling that way. But let's do this. What we're thinking.
I'm going to vote for Phil because I just really like this dark twist, and I see that in Uncle Buck. Like in Uncle Buck, it is all laughs and everything, but he does kind of kidnap a boy who's still kind of a kid. He does some pretty terrible stuff and punches that clown when really the clown was all right. He would have been fine.
Yeah.
I think Phil's onto something there. That Uncle Buck actually was a real rotten egg.
Right. Okay. No, I kind of agree with what you said. Really, I think I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to vote for Phil's as well.
I'm going to vote for Phil's because it does make the original film far more of a redemptive story than we even knew about. It really does. Very, very rarely does a prequel sort of made after the original elevate that prequel, elevate that original somewhere. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Cool.
It's like
we're going to make it, Phil.
Yeah.
Sorry. We're going to make your film.
Sorry.
We're going to make your film.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
It's a level of nihilism no one has ever associated with John Candy.
Yeah. Who are you voting for, Phil? This is the bit.
Oh, mate, I'll just vote for myself. Why go against the grain?
Makes it easier, to be honest.
Really does,
all right. Right. Okay. So with it,
that's
clean
why I
sweep.
voted leave.
Ellis, the nation's barometer.
Right. Okay, so at the end of the prequel round, Phil's the winner with 4 votes. Clean sweep, well done. But as I always say on this show, it's all to play for still. Don't get worried, Eddie and Hannah. It's as we go into the sequels, still all to play for. So let's do some dazzling with your sequels. We'll mix things up a little bit. Rotate the board. There's no board. Eddie, it's your turn first, please, for your sequel.
Cool. My sequel is called Uncle Bucks. That is possessive, not multiple, because I didn't want to go sci-fi. So Buck has a new confidence in himself after reconnecting with his brother and his brother's family. He decided to take that job at the tire company, but it's really not for him. He's trying his best, but he realizes what he wants to do. He realizes he has something of an affinity with kids, particularly younger kids. So he decides to open up Uncle Buck's summer camp, where he helps them out. He sort of goes, all right, let's go and do some of this stuff. Let's go hiking, let's go canoeing, let's do all of these fun things. Hey, you don't want to be upset about stuff. He's got a lot of patience, as we know from when he's talking to Macaulay Culkin and the 38 questions, etc. So even though the kids love him, it's a bit of a bust as he goes bankrupt by spending far too much money on enormous meals he has to make with various garden shed tools. Shanice comforts him and says, look, you tried, and that's something that a lot of people are too frightened to do. So he realizes that it was worth giving it a go. And then she reveals that she is pregnant, and he returns to work realizing that all he wanted was just to be a dad. So now he can go and work at the tire place knowing that it's all for a bigger thing, and then he does a lot of heroin in Vietnam, Thailand, just kills the boy. No, so yeah, it finishes when the nice bit. Yeah.
Cool. All right, very nice. Okay, questions then, Phil and Hannah.
How far after the events of Uncle Buck does this take place?
Probably about 6 to 12 months, I think, because obviously he's visiting more often, so he's getting his sort of fix of fatherhood from visiting his nieces and nephew, and so he can put up with the tire company and working sort of more 9 to 5 kind of thing. But after a while, he realizes that he's not getting that at home, so that's when he thinks, I'm going to set up a summer camp.
Mm-hmm.
But can I ask why, in the end, he ends up doing tires again? But it sounds like the summer camp was a pretty good business. Why did he end it?
Because it wasn't. He wanted to spend a lot more time as a father figure, and then he realized that having his own kid or children would provide that, because he gets that every single day, not just over the summer, not just all that thing. So he realized that he could work that job knowing that he'd have those kids to go back to when he got home, etc.
Yeah, right.
That's the.
Will
I really am leaning into the sort of the Reaganite era of films made in the 80s and early 90s. So yeah, but why not? Can't beat them, join them.
Will there be a sort of masked killer in this summer camp, sort of Jason Voorhees style?
Probably yeah. He fights them off with various power tools.
Yep,
really.
All right.
Yeah, well, because he does the drill through the keyhole in the first one, and you know he keeps a lot of stuff in the car, doesn't he? His car's sort of fairly well kitted out for a last minute murder.
In a way, that links in why he would end up wanting to be back in the tire business, because he's really into cars.
That's true. He's very fond of his car, and the tires on it are probably the only thing that work properly. So, yeah.
All right. Very good. So, okay, nice. Good questions. Phil, it's your turn, please, for your sequel.
Father Buck. Now, we've had a very dark prequel. We've had Uncle Buck, the light-hearted filler of the sandwich. So for the sequel, we go darker still. Father Buck struggles with the impending birth of his child, and in doing so, he does poison his partner on several occasions to try and, in his eyes, just prolong the birth, the pregnancy. But he knows in his heart, he knows what he's doing, and at night he dabbles with grave digging to make money, to try and buy stuff for the baby. So, and he takes Macaulay Culkin, who's now 15, out with him. He's sort of groomed him to come out and grave rob with him. And he has a catchphrase like, the corpses can't jangle that jewelry. Let's get it off them. Nana don't need a wristwatch where she's going. And they joke. And then there's a lot of slapstick with doing the grave digging, so we lighten it up a bit.
Yeah.
But then
flinging. Sorry.
Yeah. And so he's like, whoa, falling in. And like when they take the lid off, he's like, oh. He's gone like full Chris Farley at this point, trying to compare. Right. Like, if you watch a film with Chris Farley, he'd have been dead in the first 3 minutes. But now he's living that, like, oh, God, son of a... spade going up in his head.
Yeah.
And then carefully removes the jewelry from these deceased loved ones. And then... But then the child's born.
Yeah.
It's hit and miss in the and you feel really sorry for him until you remember that he has been poisoning her, which is why there are complications during this time. But luckily, you're still like, oh, and then anyway, the child comes out and is safe. I like to point out the child is safe. Uncle Buck has already removed all the poison from the house. He's safe. Don't worry about Uncle Buck. And he picks up the child, and he's like, the realization that this was a good thing, as he then goes, because it's fresh out the womb. This we're talking, right? Not film baby that comes out, and he just goes, what, and then freeze frames with the baby slipping out. And then Macaulay Culkin's reaching for the umbilical cord just to catch it. Freeze frame.
Right.
Yeah.
The credits. And then it says in memory of Chris Farley. Father Buck.
Radio applause, Phil Ellis, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. Yeah. Okay, Hannah and Eddie, you can ask a question. I'm sure you've got one.
I've got so he's poisoning his wife Shanice. Mm-hmm. Does she actually die at any point?
This is a comedy.
Did you not get that from the slapstick in the graveyard, Hannah? It was a comedy.
Yeah. I just thought she could die and then he could steal her jewelry.
Well, she hasn't got any, you know.
Oh, right.
I mean,
That's her jewelry's long gone.
Long gone.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Sleep in it. But he found a way to get to that class.
Okay, Eddie, have you got a question?
Do we... Obviously, we see Macaulay Culkin's character. Do we see Maisie and Tia at any point? Because Tia must be, probably college by now? No.
Afraid not, mate.
We just never see them. What about Maisie? Is she...
Another hit and run. And Father Buck is high up on the list of...
Oh, really? The case is still open, but there's not enough to pin it on him.
Yeah.
Wow.
Is there a scene we noticed where he took out life insurance policies for all of his nieces and nephews? Then
again, we don't dwell on it. You don't want to bring the whole mood down. It is.
No.
Again,
Oh God, no! Oh, heaven forfend! No.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just some light-hearted murder. It's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Right then, let's move on then. Very good. Hannah, your turn, please, for your sequel.
Okay. My sequel. Buck and his wife Shanice live in a big house with 2 adorable children. One day, their grown-up nephew Miles, played by modern-day Macaulay Culkin, shows up at their door saying he needs a place to crash. They have to take him in, but he completely trashes the place, and throws parties and drugs and prostitutes in their house. Buck tries to get through to Miles by surprising him with a giant fry-up one morning. The eggs are the size of dinosaur eggs, and each sausage is the size of a whole pig. But Miles is not so easily impressed like he was when he was a kid, and he's also a strict vegan. So he's so disgusted and horrified that he pukes up all over the kitchen, and him doing that puke makes him get rid of every drop of alcohol and drugs in his system, so he's as sober as he's ever been. Sobriety makes Miles see clearly for the first time that he's been wasting his life, and he decides to go back to university, and then we see a montage of him getting PhDs and winning a Nobel Prize, and front row of every event is his proud Uncle Buck.
Ah. Okay.
It's quite dark.
Then he murders him with the awards. Right, okay. So, questions then, Phil and Eddie. You can ask Hannah a question.
I love the pitch. It's a beautiful idea, and very John Hughes, particularly with the imagining Uncle Buck at the front. But where's our scenes, our comedy scenes that we're going to put in the trailer? Where's our fun Buck?
Well, it's going to be really funny. Yeah. Well, when Uncle Buck makes the massive fry up, it's going to be very funny because Macaulay Culkin is going to be puking everywhere, and then he trips on the puke, and then the sausage goes up his bum, and it's just lots of hilarious stuff with the breakfast. So that's going to be the main bit of the trailer. It's just going to be the breakfast.
The sausage that is the size of a pig goes up his bum.
Yeah, and that also kind of sobers him up.
Oh, it would, as it would, I would imagine. Yeah.
But it'll be very slapstick and very. It'll be very funny. And the whole trailer will just be from that scene because that's the funniest scene of the film.
Okay. Interesting. All right. Any other questions?
What's happened to his wife?
She's in it, and she's kind of almost becomes like the mum character in Uncle Buck, in that she's saying, "Get rid of this Miles kid. He's ruining our house." But Uncle Buck's like, "No, we've got to give him a chance. He's my nephew." And also Uncle Buck sees that that he could redeem himself because he remembers how he redeemed himself.
Okay.
He sees himself in him.
You mentioned 2 children. They have 2 children as well, but you didn't mention them again. So
they're just hilarious, cute children. And they just think it's really funny that Macaulay Culkin's just like shooting up and having sex with prostitutes and stuff. They just think it's what a funny uncle, because that's their uncle, you see, Uncle Miles, and they just think, "Oh, I love Uncle Miles. He's so wild."
Okay.
Do they crack wise like the other children? Like Miles will say something like, "Oh, I've got a really bad hangover," and the little girl who's like 6 will go, "Well, that and $3 will get you a cup of coffee," like that kind of.
Yeah, they're just as funny and adorable, if not more, because they're the children of John Candy, and he is hilarious. So they'd just be like the funniest, best children for a film ever.
The natural, good-natured wit of the Candy runs through them.
Yes.
Cool. All right then, nice one. Right then, it's time to vote. So let's do a quick recap, if I can. Here we go. Eddie's was Uncle Buck's. Uncle Buck has new confidence, basically, after the events of the first film. He's working at the tyre company, but he decides the job's not for him. Something's missing in his life. He opens up Uncle Buck's summer camp for kids, but he ends up getting bankrupt because of the big meals he's been making for the camp, Shanice is pregnant, so basically he returns to work at the tyre company, and he realises all he wanted to be was a dad in the end. So there you go. Phil's was Father Buck. He's struggling with the impending birth of his child, so he decides to start poisoning Shanice. Only a bit of poison. He don't want to kill her, just to delay the pregnancy. In the meantime, he goes out grave digging. He takes Macaulay Culkin's character with him, Miles. Yeah. Then you get a load of comedy in that bit where there's falling in graves.
It's a laugh riot.
Laugh riot. That'll be on the posters. Laugh riot. Corpses. Oh, he's got a catchphrase. Corpses can't jangle that jewelry. So there you go. People will be quoting that for years to come. Then the child's born, but all the poison's been taken out of the house now. He's seen the error of his ways, and at the end, it picks up the child fresh from the womb and goes whoop whoop whoop, and then it freeze frames as Macaulay Culkin's grabbing for the umbilical cord as well. Right then, okay. Hannah's was Buck and Shanice have got 2 children. Miles comes to say it's modern now, though he's grown up. Still Macaulay Culkin. Can't say his name. He comes around. He says, "Can I crash here?" He crashes there. He trashes the house. He's doing drugs, prostitutes, all this stuff. Uncle Buck makes him a big fry up to try and get through to him, but Miles is a vegan. He's horrified by this, the sausage size of a pig and all that stuff. So he vomits and clears himself up, becomes sober basically through all the vomit. Then he goes to uni, wins all the awards he can, and proud Uncle Buck's sat there rooting for him. There's probably a freeze frame of him going, lovely. Okay, so let's vote. All right. Right, I'm going to vote for Hannah's.
Thanks.
Yeah, I like the. I think like Phil mentioned, I think John Hughes would actually make that film. I think he would.
Hallmarks, hasn't it? Yeah. I agree. I'm going to vote for Hannah's as well. I think.
Oh, thank you.
I think because it's got that symmetry to it, like Buck learnt from the kids, and then eventually the kids learn from Buck. It's sort of, you know, there's a mirrored aspect to it.
Yeah, weak. It's very weak. You're right, Eddie. I'm going to vote for me. And I think you've made terrible decisions, but so Hannah, there is a chance for you to.
I do very much like the dark sequels that you're coming up with, Phil, but I just feel like I want to see the summer camp. I like in a summer camp. That's just like my favorite setting, so I'm going to go for Eddie.
Wow.
No, Anna, what you've done is, you know, you're going to win.
Well, thank you.
If you don't vote for me, so you're trying to look nice and humble by voting for Eddie, and you've done the wrong thing.
Okay, I don't like the fact I'm being framed as the Liberal Democrat here. That's very upsetting to me.
What's that show called where they all go stay in hotels? I can't remember. They always say it on there. They go, "There's some game playing going on. 4 in a bed. Some gameplay going on now. Some game playing. Right, that's it." Okay, so Hannah has won that round.
And to continue with the 4 in the bed, Hannah did lay on the best breakfast in that pitch. So others non-existent. So yeah, that works.
A quick side note: did you know, Eddie, with regards to your pitch, John Candy did they brought a cartoon out called Camp Candy. Did you know that?
I did know that because you told me. Well, you've told me at least 10 times in cars that we've been in at the same time as one another. That inspired part of it. I thought that's a good idea. Yep. So
all right.
Sadly, cool. I couldn't work in the name Camp Candy without it ending up lightly homophobic, so I left it out.
All right. Cool. Right, Hannah's won that round. So.
Yay.
Well done. Right, let's move on to the final round of requels. It's still all to play for as we move into these. So we're going to mix it up again. Phil, you're going to go first this time, please. So reboot, reimagination, whatever you want to do with this.
So we're rebooting the Uncle Buck. So obviously it's anti-Buck. Let's mix it up.
Mm-hmm.
Come on. It's going to be like CGI, but you know, like Beowulf.
Oh yeah.
That kind of thing. So you can see the actors, but you know, it's CGI just to give us more scope, really, because I found it quite an insular world. You know, Uncle Buck. It's always set in the same town, isn't it? There's always other films, and what town is it? It's set in again?
It's a suburb of Chicago, and then Indianapolis is where he lives, I think.
Yeah, well, that's gone. In Mexico.
Anti-Buck
in Mexico.
Anti-Buck.
Yeah, but shouldn't do any of the breakfast making. That's what the dad does. That she just supervises. In many ways, you know, she's too busy with it works in in Bitcoin. Always checking a Bitcoin on the phone. Yeah, hasn't really. And the kids, they don't bother looking after the kids. They've got nannies for that. So Anti-Buck's just around there, just for the Wi-Fi.
Right.
Because she doesn't have anywhere to live. Pretty much then everything else happens exactly the same.
Yeah.
But instead of the drill bit when Uncle Buck goes and kidnaps the boy, she just starts trolling him on Twitter.
Right. Yeah.
He's like acting him in, so he sees it, and then posting pictures. Like she got a webcam in that room. That's on the internet. You know, rightfully so.
Yeah.
He does end up killing himself. But that's the freeze frame.
Suicide is the freeze frame.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the end. But it's it's crossed. So you've also got Anti-Buck going, and then his legs there.
So maybe he doesn't commit suicide. Maybe really Anti-Buck did it, but made it look like suicide.
Well, we don't have to be casting that. All I'm going to say is she didn't save him.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Okay. All right. Questions then for the reboot?
I'm desperate to know the cast.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who's Auntie Buck?
Auntie Buck.
Well, again, Shania Twain comes into the role of. No, I'd have.
You don't want to know how much that impresses me.
I'd have Sarah Silverman as Auntie Buck. Because, you know.
She'd probably do it.
She'd be good.
She's funny.
Got the dark side to her.
Oh, yeah.
The comedy.
Yeah.
She's Auntie Buck. Macaulay Culkin is played by Glenn Close.
She is good, though.
Yeah.
You see that series of The Shield where she was the head of the police? Oh, brilliant.
No.
Glenn Close.
She plays the
Good,
police
strong
captain
actor,
in
though.
Yeah, series of The Shield. It was really good.
Yeah. And the guy that kills himself, Jared Leto.
Oh, right, yeah.
Plays Bug.
Bug, yeah.
Because I'm not a fan.
So you're just going to kill him off, right? Got it. Cool. Okay. Any other questions?
I feel like you hinted that there's going to be like a webcam thing. So is Auntie Buck kind of doing like live sex cams?
No,
I'm just wondering if this is going to be a sexy angle.
This is just to out and shame.
Okay.
Is
there going to be any sexiness in it?
This is a family comedy. No.
Okay.
What's wrong with you, Harry? You're always going for the film.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
I think we've got an insight into what her requel's going to be.
Yeah,
I think we all know that.
Yeah, Requel more like. That didn't work.
Well, let's find out what a Requel is right now because it's your turn, Hannah. Away you go.
Well, there is some similarities. Mine's called Auntie Cuck.
Oh.
The parents.
Get sexy.
The parents of 3 kids have to go away as the dad's dad is very ill, but no one is available to babysit except the mum's sister, Auntie Cuck. The only problem is Auntie Cuck is a terrible person. She immediately sells the 3 kids to a sweatshop in Mexico, another link to Phil's, just so she can spend the money on explosives so she can go around and blow up hospitals and schools and light homeless people on fire. She really is a terrible auntie. One day, she gets a call from her sister saying the dad's dad has passed away and left $1 billion to them in the will. So her and her husband are coming back home and they can't wait to see the kids. And if all is well, they're going to give Auntie Cuck a big chunk of that inheritance. So Auntie Cuck must go on a thrilling and frightening adventure to Mexico to kidnap back her nieces and nephew, kill lots of people who are after them, and manage to get them home in one piece in time for the arrival of their parents. The end.
Okie doke. Right. So Eddie and Phil, let's ask some questions.
It's casting again for me. This is key because obviously this film, Uncle Buck could have easily been kind of forgettable if it hadn't been for John Candy being so engaging and charismatic in the film. So who have we got in this one, please, Hannah?
I think Auntie Cuck is. I want to add the sex. So I feel like you guys were saying this shouldn't have any sexiness. I'm going to have Angelina Jolie as Auntie Cuck, and she's just like kind of this kick-ass, kind of awful, terrible murderer kind of person, but like in a sexy way, like a really sexy murderer. And she doesn't actually redeem herself at the end. She's only getting the kids back because she wants money. So it's a reboot without the redemption, because I feel like it's with the 2021 kind of we don't need happy endings anymore. We can see that life is just relentless and shit. So I want to have that message.
So is she going to be sort of like a character from like an early Ross Meyer film, like Faster Pussycat Kill Kill, just unredeemable, unrelentingly, just selfish, nihilistic, and violent.
Yeah, she's just a terrible, terrible narcissist, and murderer. And the only reason she gets the kids back is because she thinks she's going to become a millionaire. But she's also really sexy. And maybe we see like her bum.
Oh, oh no, Mrs. That's Frankie Howard.
Well on.
Now do I get your vote?
Oh, you certainly got our attention, love. Right, okay. Phil, have we got a question for Hannah?
Is this a comedy? Or is it more? We're talking like a sort of action comedy, kind of Jumanji style, like a rock
I'm not sure.
kind of comedy.
I wouldn't compare it to Jumanji, but it's like I think it's like a dark comedy. So there's gonna be some funny like one-liners that Angelina's gonna pull off, but it's not gonna be like slapstick comedy. It's gonna be more just like probably like Quentin Tarantino style, where there's like some clever dialogue with some funny little one-liners in there, but the whole thing is very dark.
Cool.
And Quentin Tarantino is actually the director. He's agreed.
All right. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Impressive. Right then, let's move on then. Requels, Eddie, it's your turn. Last requel, here we go.
Yes, I'd like this sort of remade, but as more of a straight-up horror. I was inspired specifically by the question very early on. Maisie asks, why do we need boys anyway? They're so loud. And Tia said, we need boys to grow up and to become shadows. Which, I don't know if that was from a previous sort of bit of the script. It was just weird the way she said it. So I thought, well, maybe in this instance they do. So a man in this world, men reach a certain age and suddenly start to just become shadows, just haunted shade versions of themselves, just sort of floating around. And there's sort of a zombie kind of aspect to it. Buck is the last man in the family who's able to resist this on account of his sort of resistance to growing up and responsibility. Life literally makes a shadow out of you in this particular world. However, moments of shadow do sort of take him over when he suddenly gets a bit darker, like when he kidnaps a boy or drills into a lock or sees a teenage rapist and gets angry about it. So all he really wants to do is sing to the radio and make oversized meals. So it plays out similarly, but lots of other adult males in it are like the drunk clown. It's not drunk, he's a shade, but still in that sort of very Ed Gein looking makeup, and so it's sort of protecting. So it's got a bit of like I Am Legend about it as well.
Okay, interesting. Right then, so questions, Phil and Hannah for Eddie.
It sounds like there's no comic relief in this film. Would that be correct?
Well, I think there's still going to be the reactions from the younger children because they don't really understand much. They're still very, very little. And so they'll still be there, sort of fun little interactions. And I think there'll be the comedy will be sort of dual layered because it will be funny on the surface, but it will mainly be Uncle Buck trying to distract from the hideous world, this strange hellscape that exists now.
Okay, and who are you thinking to direct it?
Carpenter, maybe. John Carpenter would do a nice thing like that, or something, or maybe just have it like that, but have all of the overly fast cuts of Edgar Wright. Could do it that way too, but Carpenter would be my number one.
Right.
Okay.
What's the message of this film?
The message is that giving in to adulthood, and I'm talking for comics here, so you're already on board with this, but growing up a bit too much will turn you into a dreadful shit. But not growing up enough will leave you poor and sad.
Wow.
So it's about striking the balance.
Yeah.
Okay.
And clowns. It's about striking balances and striking clowns.
Did you mean John Wayne Gacy when you said Ed Gein?
I did, yeah. I absolutely meant John Wayne Gacy.
Thank you very much. I didn't want that to go out, and I know you'd kick yourself because you're a perfectionist.
Yeah.
You're absolutely correct. I
Thank God Phil's here.
No, I'm very pleased. Yeah, John Wayne Gacy. Thank you very much.
Yeah. If you watch it back, you'll see all those faces when you say it. Go, oh, he's got the wrong person. But
I am out.
Yeah. He's not done his research. Good God. Right, okay. So let's do some voting. This is the final round. Here we go. Let's do this. So Phil's was a reboot called Anti-Book. It had CGI like Beowulf. It takes place in Mexico. No breakfast. None of that happens. Anti-Book's a Bitcoin worker, always checking phone. Kids have nannies, so don't have to bother looking after them at all. Just around there for the Wi-Fi. It's exactly the same, except instead of the drill bit with Bug, it's basically trolling on Twitter and a webcam set up to catch him. Bug ends up killing himself at the end, and that's what the freeze frame is. You've got Sarah Silverman playing Anti-Book, Glenn Close as Macaulay Culkin. Well, a character, or as Macaulay Culkin, fuck it, and Jared Leto as Leto, would we say, as Bug. There you go. Hannah's was Anti-Cook. Parents of 3 kids go away because the dad's dying, right? Anti-Cook's a terrible person. She sells the kids straight away to a sweatshop in Mexico so she can buy explosives and destroy loads of hospitals and schools and things. The dad's dad dies and leaves money, and the family basically said, we'll give you some money when we come back and see the kids. And then Anti-Cook has to go, I need to go kidnap the kids back from Mexico and get back in time to get me money, basically. Played by Angelina Jolie, a bit of a sexy stuff in there as well, like showing her bum.
Yeah.
Right. Eddie's was it's a remake. Right. Basically, men reach a certain age in this film and become shadows. Okay. But Buck is the last man to resist all the basically growing up, I guess. Just like Peter Pan. So he doesn't become a shadow, but the shadow sometimes comes in when he's doing dark stuff. There you go. Okay. Right then, let's do some voting. It's tricky.
It's difficult to know which of the Mexican anti-buck films to go for.
It is.
But I think I'm going to go for Phil's because I think I like the parallel of the horse racing and the Bitcoin thing.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are plenty of Bitcoin people out there who'll tell me, no, because one's gambling and one's a sure thing. But gamblers also say the same thing, so watch yourselves. But I like that one. I think that's exciting. And Sarah Silverman has that sort of darker streak that John Candy seemed to be sort of without. And so that'll be an interesting, more 21st century look at it.
Mm-hmm. Before the rest of you vote, I just want to remind you, mine's got Angelina Jolie's bum.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, but
I tell you what, if you'd have said Pfeiffer, I'd have been in.
Oh really? I'm considering Pfeiffer being in it.
It's too late.
I watch anything an X is in.
Too raw. Too
raw.
Right, I know for a fact that she'll have airbrushed your name off of her ass for this one. They'll have covered that up.
Yeah, it's gone. It's gone.
And Angelina Jolie got really angry and had Phil taken off the internet.
Yeah.
He's back. Oh my God! Angelina's watching. We've had it. Right, okay. I'm gonna vote for Phil's as well. Yeah, sorry, Hannah, but that was the Mexico one that got me.
Mine was better.
Well, you know, the votes speak, don't they?
You're just Angelina's bum. It's gonna be such a good bum as well.
Sorry.
Well,
there's still that Gia film that hasn't been touched.
Yeah. Who haven't voted? It's Hannah and Phil.
I'm going to vote for myself, which I don't normally do, but I honestly think that you've not given me the credit I deserve.
Honestly, I don't do this show for 2 episodes and everyone's voting for themselves, throwing tantrums when they don't get voted. What on earth happened?
I really believed in my idea, so I was very upset.
You did, sure.
Okay.
Well, I'd like to go for my... No, actually, do you know what? Because I know I've already won, I'm going to vote for Eddie with this empty gesture of mine. Because I think it's a nice... interesting, very intelligent take on the tale of Uncle Buck, and from that line, which weirdly has passed me by, as I've never really quite thought about it in such detail. It's very reminiscent of the very dark, edgy remake of Get Carter with Stallone. I think we're talking that level of quality remake.
Quality, yeah. It may well be.
All right.
I was about to get upset by that, but yeah, probably.
All right, cool. Right then, Phil, you've won that round, which means you're our overall winner this evening. Well done, sir.
I needed this. Yes.
You did the win. You got the win. Well done. So that's the end of the show. So first of all, I'd like to say a massive thanks to you guys for doing this today. Thank you very much for coming in, spending the time with us, and picking a nice film, Uncle Buck. Everybody enjoyed. Let's do some plugging. Phil, would you like to tell anybody what you're up to, where they can find you online, things like that? No.
Right. Oh, actually, buy my Radio 4 sitcom. Ellis is trying, from Penguin Audible or Amazon Audible things. It's brilliant.
Lovely.
Great people in it. Me.
It is really good. I listened to it.
It's good, isn't it, Andy?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot.
It didn't sound like you did, but you're fobbing off a child with a fridge ready painted.
I mean, if that's what you heard, I can't help you, Phil.
But Johnny Vegas in it, Amy Gledhill, Brilliant. Molly in the first series.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Right, we'll put that in the show link as well. We'll put a link to that as well. Anything else before we move on?
Right.
No. Okay.
But, yeah. Hiya, Mum.
Oh, that's nice that your mum's watching. Eddie, what have you got for us?
You can find my music on bandcamp.com, and there's some straight songs on there. There's a couple of comedy songs on there too. You can occasionally hear me on Fire Breathing Kittens, a 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons podcast, the Discount Comedy Checkout Improv Show podcast. We're on a bit of a hiatus at the moment, but there's about 20 odd episodes on there. So by the time you've listened to them, we should be putting something new out. And the Discount Comedy Checkout improv group in general, which I'm in with Chris, and I think that's about it.
Lovely stuff. Hannah, what have you got for us?
I've got nothing too exciting, but just follow me on Twitter and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Hannah Warman Stuff, and then watch all their things too, because they're very funny.
Lovely stuff indeed. Ah, bless you. Right, cool, excellent. That's the end of the show. Thanks to everybody for watching as well. Thanks to you guys for coming in. We'll see you again for another prequel, sequel, requel. That's it. Let's all wave goodbye until this broadcast stops. Thank you and good night.